You know, when you see that stuff happening.
It's stopped on the line somehow. Seamus Kenny had the chance, and it's in the back of the net.
I thought you'd given a penalty, to be honest, you know.
I didn't realise what was going on. It was just, I didn't realise that the goal would stand. Like, I thought there was no way it would have been allowed, you know.
Somebody scored it. Now they're protesting that it was pushed in. Meath fans are celebrating.
What happened in the Leinster final was just outrageous.
Well, I think Martin behaved pretty obnoxiously that day. You know, he was high-handed with the players. He wouldn't listen to the umpires. You know, it was a vital call.
He came in, I heard him saying to the umpire just to put up the flag. He didn't ask him, you know, he didn't consult with him right like that. He came in and just said to put up the flag, and I was just that shocked. I couldn't even say anything to him. I didn't for 1 second think he would have allowed it.
Referee Martin Slotton and his umpires got a major decision wrong.
You know, whatever I say isn't going to make much difference to loud people and loud players, and you know, it was just very unfortunate the way it happened.
There's a few choice words there shouted at him from a few of the boys now.
Oh, this shouldn't happen. That is disgraceful.
Oh, this is outrageous.
That
actually.
is disgraceful.
What happened thereafter was not acceptable. People are very entitled to be upset and angry about it, but they're not entitled to take it out on the fella.
It wasn't right what happened, and none of us condone what happened. And you've seen some of the players, you know, even trying to get the fans or whatever away, and look, it wasn't right. And I don't think anyone could condone it or say it was right, you know. But look, tempers are frayed, and probably people went a wee bit over the edge. But it's just unfortunate the way it happened too. You know, it shed us in a bad light too.
And this is
huggish. It's wrong.
It
I don't
is.
care what the result is. This is absolutely wrong what is happening to the referee.
In a way, it was a pity that the game didn't finish a minute earlier, because Meath would have been beaten. Everybody in Meath would have gone home and said, you know, we didn't deserve to win, and that would have been the end of it. Louth would have had their provincial title, and Meath would have to go the back door, and everybody in this county would have said, you know, we deserve nothing else.
And to this day, I will say it was one of the greatest injustices of the year that either the GA, the Leinster Council, the Meath County Board, or its players, that they didn't offer Louth a replay.
A few people just jumping on the bandwagon saying this and that, and they should offer a replay straight away, you know.
This is such a story. This is just, you know, the way it finished. I was actually getting ready to go on the 6-1 news.
Well, the ongoing attempts to have Sunday's Leinster football final replayed are set to be ended tonight, one way or the other.
And there can't ever be a rule that could allow that match to be replayed, because if there was, every single match would be replayed.
There was no legal basis upon which the game could be ordered to be replayed.
In my opinion, and in all our opinions, it just shouldn't have happened, and it's, you know, it was unfortunate we had to come out and make that decision, and I think a lot of people would have agreed with us in the end.
Truth was, had they played the game again, it's very likely they would have won the game.
They would have beaten Louth in the replay, and that again the high model ground. And instead what happened with Meath was that, you know, they were public enemy number one because of their lack of sportsmanship in not offering Louth a game. But it was a great year for Louth. It's a great year for Louth.
Well, it's leaving a lot of bitter memories, and in the end, the 2010 Leinster GAA football final has been won by Meath.
It just brought a very sour taste to what should have been a big day for Louth.
It's, you know, it's going to be one of the highlights of my career. Unfortunately, the way things finished up, you know, people say, how could you say that? But, you know, I have a Leinster medal, and I'm absolutely delighted with it.
To me, the provincial title wasn't worth anything to me, and all it did, as far as I was concerned, was even poured on extra pressure on the players before the Kildare game, and pressure they could have done without. There was certainly a strong sense this was going to be a most difficult fixture for Mayo.
I just thought at the start of the season that Sligo were such a sure thing to win colours.
I suppose we had home advantage and stuff, but
Great atmosphere around the place.
we managed to get over the line, and it was I suppose it's kind of a barrier that may have been broken for Sligo as well, just to get over that line, you know.
It's 10 years since they've beaten Mayo, the team who took their Connacht title off them in 2008, hammering them in Castlebar.
Just said after last year that there was going to be no more moral victories, so we just gave it our best shot, and that's what we got.
Who wants it more? It's Sligo have the lead. Mayo got the last score. Gilmartin for the home team. David Kelly way out in front of Vaughan. Kelly on his right boot. Beautiful contact with it and a great point.
That was the night the wheels came off for Mayo above in Sligo.
Kelly goes again. He's got support inside. Kelly from a tricky angle, and that seals it. That is the insurance point. And the referee blows it up, and Sligo have beaten Mayo. The Connacht champions are no more. They will go through to play Galway in the Connacht semi-final.
Terrific games, both of those matches, and a 1-point win for Sligo in the replay.
Colin McGee kicking and Colin McGee putting it over the bar, and Sligo and Kevin Walsh have prevailed here against Galway.
So now they went into Connacht final, roaring favourites.
The Connacht final, I think Sligo just turned up to take the cup.
Sligo had beaten far better teams than Roscommon. And you know what happens is once the underdog gets the roll on you, it's so hard to change your mindset and start again. It was a huge shock.
It'd be first-time territory maybe for a Sligo team to have had 3 big games and come out on top in the 3 of them, you know.
Listen to the cheers if this goes over.
You know, the positives we take out of it, like the whole second half there, we were pushing on, and had we kicked 1 or 2 of the chances we got, it could be a different story. Them are the things that hopefully, you know, even looking back on Kerry last year, that they'll take something from that and use that to drive it that next step next year, you know. It's going to be very, very difficult, but them are things you have to learn in life and in sport to move on.
Sligo are beaten. Roscommon have won their provincial title for the 20th time in their history, out of nowhere.
Tyrone were tested in Ulster. Everybody lay down to them.
I think that the standard of Ulster has declined.
This year was quite a poor year.
First 20 minutes against Down was a scary place, all right.
There's a chance here of another score. It's hit right on the meat. Down have started brightly.
We turned over that 6-2 deficit and went in, maybe a point up or something, which is so important to us to do at that time.
The best displays that Tyrone ever gave, they absolutely choked down for the rest of that game.
Looking at the possession that we had, we still felt it was a game that we could have won when we sat down and analysed it. On the day, it seemed very frustrating in the second half. It certainly seemed men against boys.
Over this side is Penrose, great ball. Onto the left boot, sailing between the posts. And Tyrone are making it look easy at this stage.
Everyone in Ulster now is afraid of Tyrone.
Coming to terms with the way Down were playing and asking the questions of them rather than the other way around. That's what we did, and I suppose we picked off enough scores then to keep us ahead, and a 14-10 was a good victory on the day.
A very impressive second half performance by Tyrone. He's happy because Tyrone are heading to the Ulster final.
We were in a good place because a lot of talk was on about how Monaghan could turn us over, and we were kind of under the radar to a certain degree. People weren't giving us much credibility for the fact that we'd won so many Ulster titles in the last 6 or 7 years, that we had won a few All-Irelands to boot, and Monaghan were coming along as this sort of team that was going to change the world.
Tyrone defending their Ulster crown.
Monaghan never got going in the final.
McCullough is calling for a Kavanagh. There's the icing on the cake.
The Ulster final, I'd say Monaghan would be disappointed with their performance.
And Monaghan been beaten out the door in Clonus.
We were very happy with ours.
They've been totally dominated by the Ulster champions, who are still the Ulster champions.
It was very important to get the back-to-back Ulster titles. People may dismiss it, an Ulster title is no big deal because you've got a few of them in the last year. We certainly relish every one of them that we can get.
A hugely impressive performance by Tyrone, and their hunger, their appetite, their desire is just as strong as ever.
And when you can put 2 back-to-back that hadn't been done for the previous whatever number 10, 11, 12 years, whatever it was, it's good to do that.
Tyrone has become like this sort of the evil empire, you know, and that everyone's in its thrall.
You've got to try and set your own little bit of history, if you like, and it doesn't always be about winning All-Ireland. It's about progress across time, and that's something we can aim for this year.
Teams like Cork, in particular, don't appreciate that's what has happened up here. You know, so Cork still aren't that particularly overly concerned about Tyrone. Their big problem is the Kerry machine.
Tributes have been paid to the former Chief of Staff of the Defence Forces, Lieutenant General Dermot Earley, who has died.
Dermot Earley was a man of the people, and yet he was not of the people insofar as he seemed to have a standing and a bit of charisma about him, which was different from most people.
Out now to Dermot Earley. Dermot Earley is shot at a goal! Oh, what a wonderful goal!
A friend of mine met him once when he had the General's regalia on. Fergal McCuskey, playing the Derry, and he said, you ought to see him. He said, like meeting John Travolta.
Probably the most memorable night was that Saturday night in Newbridge when Kildare played Antrim and Dermot Earley lined out after burying his father that day. This was the GA as a family. Mayo shouldn't be beaten by Longford.
Mayo seem to have lost their heart for the county team, for the county game.
There was a sense that Mayo were a little bit vulnerable.
Mayo have been absolutely abject in the last number of years, and it must be a source of great grievance, you know, and mystery to the Mayo people, because this shroud of sorrow seems to have settled down over the whole county.
John O'Mahony should have been manager of Mayo many years ago, but he didn't. He wasn't up for the job.
Longford had a famous win, and it spelled the end for John O'Mahony, which must have been terribly disappointing for him.
I've just told the players in the dressing room and informed the county board that I'll be stepping down.
I think that John O'Mahony was given an impossible task in many ways.
Mayo just fell off the championship at nowhere, and it remains to be seen now how they can relaunch themselves next year. Saturday afternoon, horrible conditions.
I mean, Galway, what are Galway doing with an outside manager? You know, an embarrassment and humiliation. You know, I mean, the GA is supposed to be about this.
Goalkeeper again comes off his line, comes out for his Redmond Barry, calling for his PJ Banville. Inside, there's a chance here for Eric.
You know, is it any wonder that it has ended the way it has ended?
Tucks it away.
Galway were abysmal. The Joe experiment didn't work. I mean, I despise this idea of bringing a manager halfway across the country, you know.
They now find themselves out of the championship completely.
Galway, by losing at home, they had all the advantages. Well, they couldn't have had a huge argument when they bowed out of the championship, and that spelled the end for Joe Kernan.
From the very beginning of the year, I had always said that I thought Pat Gilroy had adopted the right policy.
I think from 1 to 15, I think we worked very hard the last day against Tipperary too, and that's 2 good games for us now. And the team that's in transition, I think they're doing very well.
We've always had major problems beating the Nordy teams and stuff, and the so-called big names and stuff.
He knew that he couldn't win an All-Ireland with the team that had been there the year before, and he set out to bring radical change to it. And I'd say it took everybody, including the players, a long time to buy into his philosophy.
I think that Dublin won that game a lot more easily than the scoreline suggests.
Fennell around the corner and over the bar, and that might just be the insurance point.
It's huge for these lads to get these wins, and I think it's a huge monkey off our back.
Well, the home supporters have seen glimpses of Dublin in full flight. Now the question remains, can they close this out? Bernard Brogan with his 9th point of the game.
A lot of players after that probably said to themselves, maybe this fella does know what he's doing.
This was an Armagh team who were a pale shadow of the great Armagh teams in the past.
The current Armagh team, in my view, are a poor team.
Vernon, robbed by Paddy Andrews, brilliant.
And this was an Armagh team that had won forward.
It's all over, and Dublin have passed their latest audition and take another small step along that September road. They've beaten Armagh in the championship for the first time since 1977 and booked their place in round 4 of the qualifiers.
Word on the performance of Bernard Brogan. I know that managers don't like to single out players individually, but he was outstanding today.
He was all right. Bernard was okay, I know.
People talk about watershed moments.
We were looking at the draw for the qualifiers after the Wexford game, and it was probably one game we probably, we're probably a bit nervous about, because in fairness to Limerick, they always put it up to us, like,
It's difficult to play against Limerick because